The story begins in a mining area in Siberia, where workers are digging deep underground. Suddenly, their instruments detect a strange kind of radiation coming from beneath the ground. At first, everyone assumes that they may have discovered a massive deposit of uranium, but as the excavation continues, they realize that something else is going on. That's why Monarch scientists are immediately called in, led by Dr. Serizawa. They carefully inspect the entire area, and then they come across a sight that leaves everyone stunned. Buried deep beneath the ground is the skeleton of a massive and ancient creature. Just by looking at its size, it becomes clear that this is no ordinary animal, but a terrifying creature that lived millions of years ago. But the real mystery is still waiting to be uncovered, because right next to the skeleton, they discover two enormous eggs. One of these eggs has already hatched, and beside it is a massive tunnel that leads directly toward the ocean, which means whatever creature was inside that egg had escaped a long time ago and made its way into the sea. Meanwhile, the second egg is still sitting right there, completely silent from the outside, with no movement at all. But looking at it, it feels like something dangerous could still be alive inside, waiting to break out at any moment. And this is where the biggest mystery of the entire story slowly begins to unfold. After this, the story takes us to a nuclear power plant in Japan, where an engineer named Joe Brody is working. Suddenly, he starts noticing strange vibrations and magnetic signals coming from inside the plant. Joe realizes that something is seriously wrong and that something terrible is about to happen. He immediately suggests shutting down the reactor, but no one takes his warning seriously, and everyone dismisses it as nothing more than a technical problem. Meanwhile, Joe's wife, Sandra, who also works at the plant, goes down into the basement to investigate and find out what is causing these strange vibrations. But just moments later, the entire plant begins shaking violently, as if a massive earthquake has struck. Alarms start going off everywhere, machines begin failing, and the reactor starts spiraling out of control. Joe contacts Sandra over the radio and tells her to get out immediately because the radiation levels are rising rapidly with every passing second. Sandra and her team do everything they can to escape, but the conditions inside the reactor have become so dangerous that reaching them becomes impossible. Eventually, Joe has no choice but to make an incredibly difficult decision. If he leaves the emergency gate open, deadly radiation will escape and destroy the entire city. So, despite desperately wanting to save his wife, he is forced to close the gate. As the gate shuts, Sandra becomes trapped inside, and moments later, she dies inside the reactor. Immediately afterward, the entire nuclear plant collapses in a massive explosion. The government turns the entire area into a quarantine zone, and the world is told that it was nothing more than a nuclear accident. But Joe is completely convinced that there is no natural disaster behind this destruction. Instead, he believes that some massive and terrifying secret is hiding behind it all. Now we are shown a scene set 15 years later, where we see Joe's son Ford, who has now grown up and is working as a bomb disposal officer in the US Navy. He has a happy family of his own, including his wife Elle and their young son Sam. Ford's life is now completely normal, and he is living a peaceful life with his family. But this peace doesn't last for long. Suddenly, Ford receives a call informing him that his father, Joe Brody, has been arrested by the police for entering the same old restricted area in Japan. The truth is, even after all these years, Joe still hasn't forgotten about that old nuclear accident. He still believes that what happened that day was not just an accident, but that some much bigger secret was hiding behind it. At first, Ford doesn't want to go to Japan because deep down he is still angry with his father. He believes that Joe was somehow responsible for his mother's death, but his wife Elle explains to him that whatever happened, his father needs him right now. Eventually, Ford is forced to make the decision to go to Japan, without knowing that this journey is about to change his life forever. After arriving in Japan, Joe immediately takes Ford toward the same restricted area where the nuclear plant accident happened 15 years ago. Ford thinks his father has gone crazy over the past again, but Joe is completely convinced that some massive secret is still hidden behind this place. The two of them sneak past the security fence and make their way inside, but even Ford is shocked by what he sees. The place that the world was told was the most dangerous radioactive area is filled with animals casually walking around like everything is completely normal. The trees are green and healthy, and there is no sign of destruction or radiation anywhere. Joe immediately checks his radiation meter and then takes off his mask. Joe is nervous at first, but when he realizes that there is absolutely no radiation there, he is shocked as well. There could only be one explanation. The government had been hiding the truth from the world for all these years. After that, the two of them reach their old home, where everything is still exactly the way they left it 15 years ago. Joe pulls out his old floppy disks from inside the house, containing years of research and all the data he had collected about the strange signals. For the first time, Ford realizes realizes that his father hadn't been chasing some crazy obsession all these years. He had been following a secret that no one had ever believed was real. As soon as Joe and Ford leave their old home, they are captured by Monarch's security team and taken to a secret military base. They have no idea what all this security is actually for, but from the look on Joe's face, it seems like his suspicions are slowly starting to become reality. Inside the base, they meet Dr. Serizawa, who recognizes Joe. Serizawa explains that what happened at the nuclear plant 15 years ago was not an ordinary accident. Beneath the plant, there was an ancient creature that no one knew anything about at the time. After that, they take the two of them to the most heavily secured section of the base, where a massive giant cocoon is being kept. Heavy security and machines surround the cocoon, constantly supplying it with nuclear energy. Something extremely large is alive inside that cocoon, and with every passing moment, it is becoming more and more active. Then, for the first time, Dr. Serizawa reveals that this is no ordinary creature. It is a MUTO, an ancient monster that existed on Earth millions of years ago and survives by feeding on nuclear radiation. After learning the truth, Ford finally realizes that his father hadn't been chasing a lie all these years. He had been chasing this terrifying secret all along. Meanwhile, the giant cocoon suddenly starts moving violently. The entire cocoon begins shaking, and strange sounds start coming from inside it. Seeing this, all the scientists at the base become extremely tense. Dr. Serizawa and the rest of the team think that if they give the creature even more nuclear energy, it might calm down again. But their decision completely backfires. The moment they pump more nuclear energy into the cocoon, the creature inside becomes even more powerful. Just moments later, the cocoon suddenly bursts open with a massive explosion, and a male MUTO emerges from inside in its true form. As soon as it gets outside, the MUTO begins causing absolute chaos. Using its incredible strength, it starts destroying the entire base. The military and security forces do everything they can to stop it, but all their weapons prove completely useless against the creature. Panic spreads everywhere as people desperately run in every direction to save their lives. Then suddenly, the male MUTO spreads its massive wings and effortlessly takes flight. Within just a few seconds, it escapes the entire base and disappears, leaving nothing behind but destruction and bodies. At that moment, everyone realizes that this is no longer just a secret experiment. It has now become a massive threat to the entire world. After the male MUTO escapes, the entire Navy and high-level military officers call an emergency meeting. There, Dr. Serizawa and the Monarch team are questioned about what exactly this creature is and why the truth was kept hidden from the world for so many years. Dr. Serizawa then reveals the entire truth. He explains that the MUTO is not an ordinary animal, but an ancient creature that has existed for millions of years and feeds on nuclear radiation to survive. That is why it is naturally drawn toward nuclear reactors, missiles, and other radioactive sources. And the biggest mistake was that instead of destroying the cocoon all those years ago, they kept supplying it with nuclear energy, which only made it even more powerful. But the story doesn't end there. Serizawa reveals another shocking secret. He explains that this MUTO is not alone. One of the two giant eggs discovered in Siberia was the egg from which this male MUTO emerged, while the second egg is still somewhere out there. And if that egg also becomes active, the situation will become even more dangerous. After hearing all of this, Ford realizes that the strange signals and vibrations his father, Joe, had been talking about were actually caused by the MUTO's activity. In other words, everything Joe had been saying has now been proven true. Even after learning such a massive truth, Ford can only think about his family. He calls Elle and tells her that he is okay and wants to come home as soon as possible, but he has absolutely no idea that his journey has only just begun, and the real destruction is still yet to come. Meanwhile, a massive disturbance suddenly begins deep beneath the ocean. The waves start rising higher and higher, and moments later, a terrifying creature emerges from the depths of the sea, Godzilla. Everyone is left stunned by his arrival, because no one has ever seen a creature this massive with their own eyes before. The military assumes that Godzilla is the real cause behind all the destruction. That's why the Navy immediately launches an attack using warships and fighter jets. Missile after missile is fired at him, but none of them has even the slightest effect on Godzilla. He simply keeps moving forward without stopping, as if he has an entirely different target in mind. Dr. Serizawa then realizes that Godzilla has not come to attack humans. He is hunting the male MUTO, because these two ancient creatures are natural enemies, and Godzilla is determined to stop the MUTO from spreading across the Earth at any cost. For the first time, the military realizes that the world is now facing not one, but two massive monsters of destruction. And when these two finally come face to face, the scale of the destruction will be impossible to predict. The male MUTO continues moving forward, leaving destruction everywhere in his path. Anything that comes in front of him is destroyed within moments. Chaos breaks out around the airport, flights are grounded, and people start running in every direction to save their lives. The entire area slowly begins turning into a battlefield. Meanwhile, Godzilla also reaches the city while following the male MUTO. Finally, the moment everyone has been waiting for arrives. Godzilla and the male MUTO stand face to face for the first time. They stare each other down, and then, with a powerful roar, the first attack begins. But the fight doesn't last very long. The male MUTO realizes that directly confronting Godzilla right now would not be the right move, so he suddenly abandons the fight, spreads his massive wings, and quickly flies away. Godzilla also starts following him, while the military can only watch in shock. Seeing all of this, Dr. Serizawa realizes something extremely important. He says that if the male MUTO is running away from the fight, then he must be heading towards something else that is more important. That's when Serizawa begins to suspect that the second MUTO may have already become active. That's when he suddenly remembers that Siberia didn't give them just one egg. There was a second giant egg as well, which had been moved to America years ago and placed inside a secret facility where nuclear waste was stored. At first, everyone thought the egg was completely useless because there had been no sign of movement from it for all these years. But now everything has changed. As soon as the male MUTO becomes active, the second egg also begins to react. Just moments later, the shell of the egg cracks open, and another extremely dangerous creature emerges from inside. This is the female MUTO, which is even larger and more powerful than the male MUTO. As soon as she comes out, the female MUTO immediately starts feeding on the nuclear waste stored nearby. The more radiation she absorbs, the faster her strength continues to increase. The military does everything it can to stop her, but no one can stand against her, and she easily escapes the facility and starts heading toward her destination. Meanwhile, Dr. Serizawa realizes that the male and female MUTO are sending electromagnetic signals to each other. The two creatures have already made contact, and now they are determined to find each other at any cost. Serizawa immediately warns that if these two monsters manage to meet in one place, stopping them will become nearly impossible, and the entire world will face a massive catastrophe. By now, the situation has become so serious that the military realizes it is impossible to stop these monsters using normal weapons alone. That's why, during an emergency meeting, they decide to use a nuclear missile. Their plan is to bring both MUTOs to the same location and destroy them permanently with a nuclear blast. Meanwhile, Ford also changes his mind about going back home. He realizes that simply returning to his family is no longer enough, and that he also needs to help stop this destruction. Since Ford is a bomb disposal expert in the Navy, he decides to become part of this dangerous mission himself. The military is moving the nuclear missiles to another location using a heavily protected train as part of their nuclear missile plan. Ford is also part of this mission, and the entire team is traveling alongside the train with maximum security. Everyone believes that if the missiles reach their destination, there may still be a chance to bring the situation under control. But suddenly, the female MUTO detects the signal from the nuclear radiation. She heads straight toward the train and launches a devastating attack without warning. With a single attack, she destroys the railway tracks, causing the entire train to derail and crash violently. Explosions, fire, and chaos break out everywhere. As soon as the train crashes, the nuclear missiles inside are scattered in different directions. One missile falls into the water. The female MUTO carries another one away with her, while the third missile remains in the military's possession. Now, it's not just the monsters that have become a threat to the entire world, but these nuclear missiles have also created a new danger. In this devastating accident, most of the soldiers on the train are killed or seriously injured, but despite all the destruction, Ford survives. When the rescue team arrives at the scene, they find him badly injured. Ford immediately realizes that if the female MUTO has taken the nuclear missile, then she must be planning to use it for something much bigger, and now they have even less time than before. Now, the male and female MUTO begin heading toward California, following each other's signals. Dr. Serizawa realizes that once these two creatures meet, the level of destruction will be several times worse than before. That's why an emergency alert is immediately issued across the entire city, and people are ordered to evacuate as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Ford's wife Ella also realizes how serious the situation has become. She decides to send their young son Sam to a safe location. With a heavy heart, she puts him on an evacuation bus, because at this moment, the most important thing for her is keeping her son alive. At the same time, outside the city, the military is positioned on a massive bridge, fully prepared for battle. Everyone expects that the MUTO may pass through that area, but suddenly, Godzilla appears again from the direction of the ocean. The moment people see him, panic spreads everywhere. The military immediately opens fire on him, but Godzilla doesn't attack a single person or the evacuation buses. Without caring about anyone around him, he simply keeps moving toward his destination, because his only real target is still the MUTO. The female MUTO finally reaches San Francisco and makes her nest right in the middle of the city. As soon as she arrives, she places the nuclear missile she stole from the train right in the center of her nest. In reality, she doesn't plan to use this missile like a bomb, but as a source of energy for her offspring. After that, the female MUTO does the most terrifying thing yet. Within a short time, she lays hundreds of eggs, which quickly spread throughout the entire area. Dr. Serizawa immediately realizes that if these eggs hatch, there won't be just 2 MUTOs anymore. Hundreds of new MUTOs will enter the world, and humanity's chances of survival will become almost impossible. A short while later, the male MUTO also arrives and stands beside the female, guarding the entire nest. Now the two of them attack anything that tries to get anywhere near them. For the military, even reaching the creatures has become nearly impossible. The biggest problem is that the timer on the nuclear missile is also counting down, which means if the missile explodes right in the middle of San Francisco, it won't just destroy the city. The radiation combined with the MUTO eggs could create a catastrophe for the entire world, one that no one would be able to stop. Now the military decides that the nuclear missile must be taken out of San Francisco at any cost and moved into the ocean so that even if it explodes, the city and its people can be saved. This mission is extremely dangerous, but Ford takes responsibility without any hesitation and begins trying to move the missile out of the city with his team. While transporting the missile, Ford suddenly notices the female MUTO's giant nest, where hundreds of eggs are scattered around. Ford immediately realizes that if these eggs hatch, there won't just be 2 MUTOs anymore. Hundreds of new MUTOs will be born, and humanity's chances of survival will become almost impossible. Without wasting any time, Ford uses a nearby oil tanker and sets off a massive explosion inside it. Within moments, the entire nest is engulfed in flames. The fire burns so intensely that all of the female MUTO's eggs are destroyed right there, stopping an even greater catastrophe before it can begin. When the female MUTO sees her entire nest burning, she becomes furious. She immediately turns toward Ford. Now, she has only one goal: to avenge the death of her offspring. And with that, Ford and his team find themselves trapped in an even greater danger than before. Now, the moment everyone has been waiting for finally arrives in the middle of San Francisco. Godzilla, the male MUTO, and the female MUTO come face to face, and an intense final battle begins between all 3 creatures. Every attack is so powerful that nearby buildings start collapsing, streets are destroyed, and the entire city turns into a battlefield. At first, the male and female MUTO work together and launch one attack after another against Godzilla. Sometimes the male MUTO attacks with his sharp claws and massive wings, while the female MUTO uses her incredible strength to slam Godzilla to the ground. For a while, it looks like Godzilla is being overwhelmed by the 2 creatures. But the moment the female MUTO leaves to chase Ford, Godzilla gets his chance. He goes all out against the male MUTO. He uses his powerful tail to send him flying, and then finishes him off with a devastating attack. With the male MUTO dead, the battle takes an even more dangerous turn. After seeing her mate killed, the female MUTO becomes enraged and immediately attacks Ford and the military. Ford and his team barely manage to survive, while Godzilla once again steps directly in front of her. This time, Godzilla unleashes his most dangerous weapon, the atomic breath. He fires his blue atomic beam directly into the female MUTO's mouth. Within moments, her entire body burns from the inside, and she is finally killed. And just like that, Godzilla brings an end to both MUTOs, and the greatest threat to humanity is finally eliminated, at least for now. After this devastating battle, San Francisco has been completely destroyed. Broken buildings, fire, and debris can be seen everywhere. The military and rescue teams are busy searching for survivors and helping the injured, while Ford also barely survives and finally reunites with his family. Meanwhile, Godzilla is lying motionless on the ground after the battle. After such an intense fight, everyone assumes that Godzilla may have also died. The military and the people nearby keep staring at him because no one can believe that even a creature this powerful could have been brought down. But just moments later, Godzilla suddenly begins to slowly get back up. He raises his head and lets out a massive victory roar. His roar echoes throughout the entire city. Seeing this, everyone realizes that the creature they had considered their enemy was actually the one who saved humanity from the threat of the MUTOs. After that, Godzilla calmly turns around and starts walking back toward the ocean without attacking anyone. Slowly, he disappears into the depths of the sea as if he had simply completed his duty. But the story doesn't end here. The world now knows that Godzilla and other ancient titans like him exist on Earth. This sets up a major storyline for the next chapter and hints that humanity is going to face even more dangerous monsters in the future.